The goal of my talks with you is to break you out of the prevailing, impotent, specialized thinking, following mode, and break you into the powerful, integrated thinking, self-leader mode, the neo-think mentality. When you're in the neo-think mentality, you can rise up. You're no longer stuck. You're no longer suppressed in stagnant, specialized ruts, routine ruts. You begin integrating and rising and integrating and creating values, and good things happen in your life. And I told you in my past talks that every single self-made major winner in life had to have leapt beyond the specialized thinking, following mode, into the powerful integrated thinking, self-leader mode, the neo-think mentality. All your self-made billionaires live in the neo-think mentality. And isn't it curious? Isn't it interesting that there's so many of those billionaires who have spent millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars toward curing aging? Curing aging. These guys want to live forever. Now think about it. Why do they want to live forever? Well, they're in the life they were meant to live. They are creating. Only the human mind can create. They are in harmony with the essence of being a human being. They're happy. They love life. They have that child of the past within them. Remember when you were a child and the endless possibilities and the wonder and the enthusiasm for what's ahead. But then as we grow older and we get in our jobs, our specialized tasks, our routine ruts, that child of the past just sort of dies, buried beneath falling leaves of resignation. They have learned how to do this integrated thinking. They have left behind specialized thinking. They have leapt into the integrated thinking and the powerful neo-think mentality. Now, using my integrating mind, the neo-think mentality, I've identified the path that will allow us to get to curing aging, the complex challenge to cure aging. In fact, I put a website up for the Billionaire Club showing them how to go about doing that. That website is curetoaging.com. But through my integrated thinking, through NeoThink, I've learned that I put together that to cure aging requires a cause and effect, a demand and supply dynamic. First, there must be a massive demand for curing aging. So the money pours into the research and development. So all around the world, the scientists, the biomedical companies, everybody's pouring themselves into meeting that huge demand for curing aging. But how do we get that huge demand? People who are stuck in their routine rut, doing the same thing every day, day after day, get bored with life, and they don't want to live forever. They don't have the same desire for life as those in the neo-think mentality have. You see, the neo-think mentality not only brings you up at work, brings you up in business and wealth, but it brings you up in happiness and joy and the desire to live. It brings back the child of the past from within. So the neo-think mentality is more than making tons of money. But everyone who's made tons of money has, I guarantee you, it's axiomatic, has broken into the neo-think mentality. To achieve the goal of curing aging and death requires that huge demand. So if you look at my previous talks, most of it is about pulling you out of your stagnant routine rut, right? I'm teaching you how to rise up. Am I not? And how do you rise up? It's through breaking out of specialized thinking, out of the following mode, out of being told from above what to do, and then following what you're told. It's about learning how to integrate your own path and purpose forward. And that brings you in harmony as who you are as a human being. That brings you in harmony with becoming a value creator. Only human beings can create value. That is our essence. And you must leave behind the specialized thinking, following mentality, and you must leap into the integrated thinking, neo-think mentality in order to reach the point in your life where you can begin to create value. And when that happens, you are in harmony with your essence. And no, you don't want to die. You will begin living the life worth living forever. Like the Billionaires Club, like me. That is my number one goal in life, is to cure aging and death. But I know how to go about it. First, we must create the demand. And that's why my manuscripts, my books, my talks are mostly about freeing you from your trap, from your stagnation trap, enabling you to rise up through integrated thinking. I am teaching you a new mentality. And once you get in that mentality, you will join me on my ultimate goal of curing aging and death. That's step one. That's one of the causes. The other, step two, another cause, is to supply the demand that we will create by spreading the neo-think mentality to the public around the world. Once this demand to cure aging grows because everyone's falling in line with their essence as a human being. Once that demand grows, and by the way, invite your family and friends to my talks, because we need to spread this to everyone. They deserve to live the life they were meant to live. They deserve to live the life worth living forever, right? I bring all of my family and friends. I bring all of my neo-think members. And now I'm bringing the entire world into the neo-think mentality, into the life worth living forever. But there is another obstacle in the way, and that is the supply. How do we supply that demand when that demand grows? Well, we're blocked. We are blocked. The billionaires are blocked. And this is the nature of my open letter, curetoaging.com, to these folks. They are blocked because of the political structures around the world and the use of initiatory force and regulations that block and hold back progress. I was very close to someone, that person is my father, who has passed away, who was working with a large chemical company, DuPont, decades ago, on a very promising cure to cancer. But FDA regulations got in and made the whole project too cost prohibitive and killed it. Oh, this is back in the 70s. Very promising approach. I write about this in my writings. So you have these forces of the power class, the ruling class above us, the politicians, the regulatory bureaucrats, the media, the legal matrix, all of that above us, pushing us down with their regulations and their laws based on initiatory force. In other words, comply or become a criminal. Comply or go to prison. And those block progress. They've always blocked progress. Why? Well, I can get into that in other talks. I explain it all in my thousands of pages of manuscripts that I've written. And in fact, on curetoaging.com, you read the literature on that website, and you'll see a good bit of the reason why. But we do not have the freedom to supply the demand as the demand grows. And we will not have the freedom until we can remove initiatory force from government, or by some outside chance form a new country, which is a very difficult thing to do. And this was my appeal, by the way, to the Billionaire Club. They have the power, the money, and the influence to perhaps establish a sovereign new country that is void of a government using initiatory force in its regulations and laws, suppressing progress. I've talked in 2 of my previous talks about the prime law and making it a 28th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. That would end initiatory force. That would remove the negative that our founding fathers missed. The founding fathers, unfortunately, fell one integration short. They were trying to add the positive with the Bill of Rights. Well, look how impotent those are becoming today, right? And I explain in my writings why we are having the failure of the Bill of Rights and why that was ultimately a mistake to have added the Bill of Rights. The founding fathers wrestled with that. They could sense it, but they were too rushed into having to save this nation from falling apart when the Articles of Confederation became too weak to hold us together after the war and the debt of the country. So they had to push through these Bill of Rights. But they were so close to the prime law that removes the negative, removes initiatory force from society and particularly from government. Without initiatory force, you have pure freedom, and it will never, there's no way to ever stop pure freedom with the prime law. So the ultimate goal of my life is to cure aging and death. That's why we're very conscious about health. That's why I'm very conscious about health, and I will bring in to these talks on my channel health that will benefit you. We are working very aggressively on longevity. Those closest to me are working very aggressively on the whole path of longevity to hold us over, keep us hanging on long enough to achieve biological immortality. So again, I'm going to talk to you heavily on this channel. I'm going to pull you out of your specialized thinking rut, routine rut, your specialized task. I'm going to pull you out of that, pull you into powerful integrated thinking, into the neo-think mentality, so you can begin to rise up, to make more money, to be more successful, to live the life you were meant to live, the life the child of the past always dreamed of. I'm going to work most heavily with you on that, on breaking you free, helping you rise up. In 1 year, I want you to be somebody completely different than you are today. Yes, different. Not a follower, but an integrator, a self-leader. That's number one. Number two, I will drop in from time to time talks about the illusions that we need to break through. We need to remove these illusions that are suppressing progress. We need to know why those illusions are made, how they're made, and what they're doing. So with you rising up, with me reaching the public now, with the whole world learning the neo-think mentality, the demand will grow and grow and grow for more life. And with us going to battle against the illusions, disintegrating those illusions, encouraging America to make the prime law, the 28th Amendment to our Constitution, that will then free up progress to supply your demand. And in the end, I plan to cure aging and death.